As the World Trade Center was being built in the late 1960s and the early 1970s, scientists found out that it's asbestos that is used to fireproof steel beams could cause cancer. This is Larry Silverstein, a Jewish-American businessman from New York. He obtained a 99-year lease on the entire World Trade Center complex on July 24, 2001. The towers were in fact close to worthless, being filled with asbestos. Yet he felt a gripping urge to own them and took out specific insurance against acts of terrorism. I repeat, specific insurance against acts of terrorism. This is the Windows on the World restaurant located in the North Tower on the 107th floor at the former World Trade Center. Silverstein had breakfast every morning, but broke his routine on the morning of September 11, 2001. Silverstein's two children, who also worked at the center, were also absent from work that day. Yeah, I know. Silverstein was a personal friend of media magnate Rupert Murdoch, the owner of Fox News, and former Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon, and current Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and also former Minister of Defense Ehud Barak. The Haaretz, Israel's newspaper, reported that he was such good friends with Benjamin Netanyahu, he spoke with him on the phone every Sunday morning. Larry Silverstein was paid $4.55 billion in insurance money as a result of the destruction of the World Trade Center complex. He also sued the airlines and airport security, seeking $12.3 billion in damages. Though his ultimate payout, after a 13-year legal struggle, was just $95.2 million. Give me that $95.2 million. This photo screams insurance fraud. This photo screams insurance fraud. That yellow arrow points to the current Freedom Tower. Boom! Shakalaka. Ace Elevator and LVI Demolition Services that was working on the asbestos removal project was not mentioned in the final report prior to the collapse. Elevator renovation. It is a perfect cover for planting of explosives. The workers had access to unoccupied areas 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, which would make it perfect to place explosives on load-bearing columns in the elevator shafts. A good friend of mine introduced to me a young lady that was in the towers when they were burning. She worked for Morgan Stanley. She stated that the fire department didn't want anybody to leave because they were transferring the gold in the third floor basement. I repeat, they was transferring the gold in the third floor basement. But when they heard several sounds, bop, 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 from the building that the second plane hit, they took off on the elevators and they survived. But some of the people that took the stairs, they all died.
Very serious face. He said the South Tower was just collapsed.
These three intelligence agencies are the confidential arm of the so-called deep state that is in control of the military-industrial complex. This began right after World War II. All three agencies make dummy passports and enlist talented civilian nationals of other nations to commit undercover activities against other nations. So therefore, those Saudis were highly likely hired by Mossad. There is also new evidence, according to the Times of London, that foreign nationals in Israel willingly allowed the Mossad to use their passports in order to carry out undercover operations in a foreign country. Think about this, folks. The first plane hit at 8:46 in the morning, and the second at 9:03 in the morning. And then 4 flights are diverted from their assigned airspace, and no air traffic controller sounded their alarm. That appears to be by design, because the Air Force didn't scramble jets until 10 in the morning. Folks, that is 57 minutes. 57 minutes. So the radars and transponders had to been jammed, just like Israel did to our Navy ship, the USS Liberty, in 1967. Boom! Shakalaka. So Mossad and its American connections are the obvious guilty party bombing the Twin Towers.
World Trade Center 7 had always been considered the starting point for rebuilding. Located north of the slurry wall, 7 had been cleared faster than the rest of the site, and there had been no bodies to recover. Pelted by debris when the North Tower collapsed, 7 burned until late afternoon, allowing occupants to evacuate to safety.
I remember getting a call from the fire department commander telling me that they were not sure they were going to be able to contain the fire. And I said, we've had such terrible loss of life. Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull, and then we watched the building collapse.
Well, I was getting this question in the 1990s, and I said that the West really doesn't understand militant Islam. So I wrote a book in 1995, and I said that if the West doesn't wake up to the suicidal nature of militant Islam, the next thing you'll see is the militant Islam is bringing down the World Trade Center. I said that the West really doesn't understand militant Islam. So I wrote a book in 1995, and I said that if the West doesn't wake up to the suicidal nature of militant Islam, the next thing you'll see is the militant Islam is bringing down the World Trade Center.
Now let's talk about Iran. You have a whole website devoted to stopping war.
www.stopiranwar.com.
Do you see a replay of what happened in the lead up to the war with Iraq? The allegations of the weapons of mass destruction, the media leaping on to the bandwagon?
Well, in a way, but history doesn't repeat itself exactly twice. What I did warn about when I testified in front of Congress in 2002, I said if you want to worry about a state, it shouldn't be Iraq, it should be Iran. But this government, our administration, wanted to worry about Iraq, not Iran. I knew why, because I'd been through the Pentagon right after 9/11. About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, No. He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They've just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran." I said, is it classified? He said, yes, sir. I said, well, don't show it to me. And I saw him a year or so ago, and I said, you remember that? He said, sir, I didn't show you that memo. I didn't show it to you.
I'm sorry, what did you say his name was?
I'm not going to give you his name.
So go.
By the way, Afghanistan's ruling Taliban movement on Tuesday said that Osama bin Laden, they're closely allied with him, was not responsible for the attacks on the United States. What happened in the United States, according to the Taliban, was not a job of ordinary people. It could have been the work of governments. Osama bin Laden cannot do this kind of work. Neither can we, a Taliban spokesman said from the southern city of Kandahar. The Taliban, of course, a very militant and very conservative Islamic organization and widely believed to be harboring Osama bin Laden, a very wealthy Saudi dissident.
It has been more than 16 years since a civilian working for the Navy was charged with passing secrets to Israel. Jonathan Pollard pled guilty to conspiracy to commit espionage and is serving a life sentence. At first, Israeli leaders claimed Pollard was part of a rogue operation, but later took responsibility for his work. Now, Fox News has learned some U.S. investigators believe that there are Israelis again very much engaged in spying in and on the U.S., who may have known things they didn't tell us before September 11th. Fox News correspondent Carl Cameron has details in the first of a four-part series.
Since September 11th, more than 60 Israelis have been arrested or detained, either under the new Patriot anti-terrorism law or for immigration violations. A handful of active Israeli military were among those detained, according to investigators, who say some of the detainees also failed polygraph questions when asked about alleged surveillance activities against and in the United States. There is no indication that the Israelis were involved in the 9/11 attacks, but investigators suspect that the Israelis may have gathered intelligence about the attacks in advance and not shared it. A highly placed investigator said there are, quote, tie-ins, but when asked for details, he flatly refused to describe them, saying, quote, evidence linking these Israelis to 9/11 is classified. I cannot tell you about evidence that has been gathered. It's classified information. Fox News has learned that one group of Israelis, spotted in North Carolina recently, is suspected of keeping an apartment in California to spy on a group of Arabs who the United States is also investigating for links to terrorism. Numerous classified documents obtained by Fox News indicate that even prior to September 11th, as many as 140 other Israelis had been detained or arrested in a secretive and sprawling investigation into suspected espionage by Israelis in the United States. Investigators from numerous government agencies are part of a working group that's been compiling evidence since the mid-90s. These documents detail hundreds of incidents in cities and towns across the country that investigators say, quote, may well be an organized intelligence gathering activity. The first part of the investigation focuses on Israelis who say they are art students from the University of Jerusalem and Bezalel Academy. They repeatedly made contact with U.S. government personnel, the report says, by saying they wanted to sell cheap art or handiwork. Documents say they, quote, targeted and penetrated military bases, the DEA, FBI, and dozens of other government facilities, and even secret offices and unlisted private homes of law enforcement and intelligence personnel. The majority of those questioned, quote, stated they served in military intelligence, electronic surveillance intercept, and/or explosive ordnance units.
That year, Mark Rossini and his colleague Doug Miller, an FBI agent who was assigned to the CIA's ALEC unit, which was tasked with tracking Osama bin Laden, drafted a memo briefing the higher-ups on what they had learned from the spy in the months leading up to the attack. That memo never made it to the FBI, because Miller said that CIA agent told him to hold off and not to tell anyone what they heard, and that includes their bosses.
Rossini was an FBI agent liaising with the CIA's bin Laden unit before 9/11. I asked him if he thinks the 28 still classified pages from the Joint Inquiry into Intelligence Community Activities before and after the terrorist attacks of September 11th could reveal a higher level of Saudi government collusion in the 9/11 attacks.
What we've never had the temerity to do is to fully examine why the FBI was not formally notified of the meeting in Malaysia, the terrorism summit, and moreover why the FBI was not formally notified when two of the hijackers came to America. Let me go back. Moreover, when it was discovered that two of the terrorists who met in Malaysia had visas to visit the United States of America. Why the FBI, nor the State Department, nor at the time Immigration Service was notified of this. This is what we need to prove. This is what I've been doggedly trying to go after for the last 15 years. To understand why my colleague, Special Agent Doug Miller, why his memo was blocked, and why I was told by the individual he sent it to not say anything. Why I was told essentially to shut up. That we have to get to. And no one has done a study of every communication between the FBI and CIA and looked at it and analyzed it and said, well, you sent them on January 1st, this communication about terrorism, and you sent this communication on January 10th about terrorism, but why not the cable on January 5th? January 5th, 2000 being the cable when it came from Malaysia Station about the meeting in Malaysia. Why didn't you send Doug's CIR, what's called the Central Intelligence Report, the formal way in which you communicate and disseminate information? Why didn't you send that? No one's ever done that. And no one's never done an analysis of the CIRs and their title. The 9/11 Commission did a tabulation of the amount of CIRs, but never drilled down on the subject line and said, well, you sent this, you didn't send that. I need to know why. It's all logical. This is not rocket science here. It's investigation 101. So the 9/11 Commission, while I praise the effort of the Commission and the dedication to getting to the truth and the investigators behind it, the one question that has never been answered as to why was Doug's memo not released. And thank God for Doug writing that memo, because if he didn't write that memo, there would be no record of two FBI agents trying to push it forward, me being one of them. So you have to ask yourself, if we were not there, no one would know. But moreover, ask yourself, and know this, Sean, that regardless of Doug and I being there that day, they had a responsibility to tell the FBI, because you're talking about two terrorists coming to the mainland, to the U.S., to the FBI's portfolio, the FBI's competency, the FBI's jurisdiction, whatever word you want to use. And that was not done. And you can tabulate and say, all these other times you tell the FBI this about so-and-so coming to America, this spy coming in, etc., but you don't tell them that? No, that doesn't wash. That's not adult. That's insulting. Tell me why. Right. But I know why. Well, circumstantially I know why, and you know why, because the effort was to recruit one of the members of the cell. When Cofer Black became the chief of the counterterrorist center at the CIA, the CTC, and again, I know Cofer, I have great admiration for him. Cofer said to Richard Clark, and Richard Clark says this on a YouTube interview with the authors of a Salon article, he says, Richard Clark congratulated Cofer for being named the director of CTC. And he said, how you feeling? How you doing? He goes, I'm fine, but something's gnawing at me. We don't have any sources in Al-Qaeda, and I'm determined to change that. So what better opportunity than two of the hijackers, people you follow halfway around the globe, from their residency in Yemen all the way through Dubai. You take their passports, make photocopies, go through their luggage, put them on their merry way to Malaysia, surveil them, take photographs, learn of their activity, learn of their intention to come to the United States of America, and you don't tell the FBI. And the only reason can be they were trying to recruit them.
Okay, folks, let's check out the seals on the U.S. dollar. Look to your left. There are 13 steps on a pyramid that lead up to the Eye of Horus. Now look to your right. On the eagle, on his right foot, there are 13 leaves on an olive branch. On his left foot, there are 13 arrows. Above his head are 13 stars. The earthquake was 5.8 on the Richter. 5 plus 8 equal 13. 5 plus 8 equal 13. You can stop worrying, folks. The Lord Jesus got this land on check. He played a house of cards with 3 aces. He got a trump on the land, he got a trump on the money, and he's going to use Donald J. Trump to shake up the world. The resurrected World Trade Center opened for business on Monday, November 3rd, 2014. Publishing giant Condé Nast began moving into the Freedom Tower. This is 13 years after the 9/11 terrorist attack, or 4,801 days. 4 plus 8 equals 12, plus 1 equals 13. 13, folks. 13. On the right seal of the dollar, above the eagle, are 13 stars that form the shape of the hexagram. The hexagram was brought to the Hebrew people by King Solomon when he got involved with witchcraft and idolatry after his marriage to Pharaoh's daughter. He used the symbol as a magical signet to control demon spirits. He also built altars for satanic worship to idols of Ashtoreth and Baal and Moloch. The worship included sexual orgies, and there were sacrifices with children that were burned in a fiery furnace, and they used the Illuminati Freemasonry to create the nation of Israel. This is not the Star of David. I repeat, this is not the Star of David. And throughout the Middle East, it is known as the Seal of Solomon, who was the son of David. There is no biblical or Jewish evidence that traces the hexagram symbol with King David of Israel. The authentic symbol of Israel is the boom shakalaka, the menorah. The menorah. The menorah that was spoken to Moses in Exodus 25th chapter. What we have here, Passover is the cross. Unleavened bread, clean from sin. Feast of first fruits, that's the resurrection. These have been fulfilled, along with the Pentecost. Feast of trumpets, that is the rapture and tribulation or regathering. Day of atonement, atonement for Israel. Tabernacles, that's 1,000, that's millennium reign. Okay, now it's time to put this lie to death about this star. Let's go to 1 Kings 11 chapter verse 4 to 6. For it came to pass, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. Verse 5, for Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. Let's go to 1 Kings 10th chapter verse 13 to 14. King Solomon gave to the queen of Sheba all she desired, no matter what she asked for, in addition to what Solomon gave her from his royal bounty. So she turned and went to her own country, she and her servants. Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 666 talents of gold. 666, mark of the beast, folks. What you see over the left seal of the dollar is the seal of Solomon, which I say again is a representation of satanic worship. It has 6 points, 6 sides, and 6 triangles, which is the mark of the beast. The letters at 5 points spells the name Mason. M-A-S-O-N. Mason. In Revelation 2nd chapter, verse 9, I know your works and tribulation and poverty, but you are rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. On 9/11, on 9/11, 1990, George Herbert Walker Bush, or Daddy Bush, went before Congress 67 days before we went and bombed Iraq and named it Desert Storm. I repeat, 67 days before we went and bombed Iraq and named it Desert Storm. 6 plus 7 equal 13. 6 plus 7 equal 13. Now look below the pyramid, and there are 3 words that are written in Latin. Novus ordo seclorum. Novus ordo seclorum. meaning New Order of the Ages. On that day, he coined the phrase, New World Order.
Unique and extraordinary moment. The crisis in the Persian Gulf, as grave as it is, also offers a rare opportunity to move toward an historic period of cooperation. Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order, can emerge, a new era, freer from the threat of terror, stronger in the pursuit of justice, and more secure in the quest for peace.
You will notice that the Illuminati have given much significance to these four structures or images. After Jesus was nailed and hung on a cross, 4 Roman soldiers took a garment of clothing apiece and then shot dice for his coat. Now, what are these Illuminati bankers are insinuating to us? What does this mean? They are stating that we are covered by the head of the New World Order. They are stating that we are covered by the head of the New World Order. I have a message to you protesters. On every occasion, the protest begins as peaceful, but it always ends up in mayhem. So who are you trying to impress? I applaud your efforts, but you lack wisdom. Since you did not vote in the 2010 election, you allowed the Republicans to govern by sequesters and obstruction against your own interests. That is why I have stated that no crusade of any kind has ever been successful. Yes, you have a right to a peaceful protest, but in most cases, all that is proven is that you can set fires, break windows, and loot. So the establishment observes these crusades as rebellion or insurrection, seditious conspiracy, and encouraging an overthrow of the government. This is in harmony with the United States Criminal Code Title 18 that can put you away for several years. You can't stop these people. They print the money. You need to make Jesus Christ your Lord. You can't stop these people. If they wanted to, they could have gunned all of you down, but they wasn't impressed. They wasn't impressed. They had the Homeland Security and the U.S. Marshal. They have sheriffs in every county of every state. They have the FBI, CIA, DIA, NSA, ATF, state police, local police, military police, and the military. What do you think you're going to do? You can't stop these people. Better make Jesus Christ your Lord. On that day, 4 people were murdered and 9 wounded by the Ohio Army National Guard. I repeat, 4 people were murdered and 9 wounded by the Ohio Army National Guard. 4 plus 9 equal 13. 4 plus 9 equal 13. There were 67 rounds fired in 13 seconds. There were 67 rounds fired in 13 seconds. 6 plus 7 equal 13. They were protesting the invasion of Cambodia. Do not think 1 second that the federal government will not have a relapse. Donald Trump has told you what he is going to do, and the court has granted him immunity. 11 days later, on May 15th at Jackson State University in Mississippi, police fired on students, killing 2 and injuring 12. Killing 2 and injuring 12. That reminds me of 2 planes, 1 day, 2 towers. 2 planes, 1 day, 2 towers.
Guys, he can tell you I'm okay, all right? Here, hold on. You want to call your mother or something?
Supposed to be right now. You gotta get back to me. You know that. You gotta get back.
All right. Don't worry about me. You need to make calls right now. All right.
Listen, the 4-1 should have taken, except for a couple of companies that they were leaving back to assist that were stuck in the tunnel. So that's, they might be busy doing
There's another one. Hours after the attack, many smaller explosions rumbled through downtown.
At Ground Zero, running in the streets is the only form of escape. But on those same streets, the chaos and vibrations couldn't be avoided.
Keep your eye on that building. It'll be coming down. The building is about to blow up.
This is the Austin J. Tobin Plaza that was between the World Trade Center. In the middle, there's a spear that was built by Fritz Koenig. Fritz Koenig. Look to your upper right. There are the 3 pyramids, just like the pyramids in Egypt. Then we have the 9 planters that represent the 9 cities that surrounded the Tower of Babel. Then there are 33 tables that represent the highest order of the Masons. 33 degrees. Better make Jesus Christ your Lord, folks. Okay, it's a great shot. Another great shot. Pretty good shot. This is the aerial view of the World Trade Center. To the right of the towers in the plaza is the spear. This spear resembles an eyeball, and it is an eyeball. It is the eye of Horus. The eye of Horus, which is the Egyptian son of Isis, of the mother sun, S-O-N, sun god, S-U-N worship. The eye of Horus. The eye of Horus. This is the great shot of the eye of Horus. The eye of Horus. This is further confirmation that it was an inside job. It was an inside job. Great shot. Another pretty good shot. Now check out how unscrupulous these folks are. Look to your right at the eye of Horus and see how detailed the black eyelid with the 33 tables on the left and how it is laid in the same pattern. They're not playing, folks. They're not playing. Now check out the 20, 10, 50, and the 100. The first issue of this currency was 1996, but the towers didn't come down until 2001. Take a good look. Take your time. It's going to make you sick. Okay, we're looking at the subway system, 8th Avenue line, Chambers Street, where the World Trade Center once stood. It was right below. And in the center, you have the eye of Horus. The eye of Horus. It's on the world map. It's the eye of Horus. The eye of Horus. Uh-oh. Chambers Street, World Trade Center. Look to the wall. You have the eyeballs. The eye of Horus. The eye of Horus. The eye of Horus. The eye of Horus. St. Paul's Church. The eye of Horus. The eye of Horus. On 9/11, 1 year later, in 2002, the Eye of Horus ceremony at Ground Zero.
Being down here now, as different as it looks, I still have those visuals, those images in my mind, in my head.
We're on, as a nation, vicious now.
Suicide bombers, it happens in Israel on a daily basis. Those are the things we have to be careful of now, we have to watch for now.
Do you expect suicide bombers?
Plane struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center 1 year ago. Hundreds of people have gathered here at Ground Zero to mark the anniversary in what is expected to be, we tell you that the anniversary ceremony will also include several moments of silence, marking the times that the hijacked jets place roses on the site for a flower arrangement that will be turned into a permanent.
It was planting of the flowers, prayer, and speeches. The fire department and the police department, the first responders. It was silence and dust. The Eye of Horus. The Eye of Horus. In the book of Jeremiah, the Statue of Liberty is called the Queen of Heaven. She is also known as Semiramis, Ashtoreth, Venus, Isis, Easter, Aphrodite, and Libertas. And the Catholic Church has Mother Mary. On the next page, I will show you how dangerous by having this statue at the seat of the economic power broker of the world. Exodus 20 chapter verse 3 through 4. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make unto me any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. 2 Corinthians 3rd chapter verse 17. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. There is liberty. Liberty means freedom. This is a poem written on the plaque inside the pedestal. It was written by Emma Lazarus, and this poem is a severe contradiction against what is stated by Jesus the Christ. Now let us compare the two. She is saying, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I left my lamp beside the golden door. Now, here comes Jesus. Jesus stated in Matthew 11 chapter verses 28 through 30, come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Boy, she is fried. I am the Lord, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another, neither my praise to graven images. Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. This is a Google map page, and the Statue of Liberty stands at a latitude and longitude of 40.06892 north and 74.0448 west. Write those numbers down, and later on go to Google's Maps and confirm this is not a Photoshop. Now we're going to move on to the next page and do some numerology. Okay, you got 40.6892 north, you got 74.0448 west. Now, check my math, follow my math. 4 plus 0 is 4, plus 6 is 10, plus 8 is 18, plus 9 is 27, plus 2 equals 29. Okay, let's go to the next number. 7 plus 4 is 11. Got 0, we stay at 11. Got 4, we got 15. Got 4, we got 19. Got 8, we had 27. Okay, let's look to your right in the purple and blue numbers. So what I had to do, I had to add those numbers up. So you got 2 plus 8 is 10. So you carried a 1, you got 14. You carry another 1, you got 13. You carried a 1, makes it 7. And then you have no carry. 0 plus 4 is 4. And then you got 4 plus 7 equal 11. So you know 11, 47, 34 is 0. Okay, look to your left in the gold box. You got 1147,340. Now we're going to divide that by 2. That came up to 573670. Now we're going to make sure that it's correct. So we go to your right in the black box. So we took 573670. We doubled up on it. 0 plus 0 is 0. We got 77 is 14. We carry the 1 is 13. We carry the 1, we have 7. Then we have no carry. 77 is 14. You carry the 1, you have 11. Now we know that 573670 is correct. Now go below to your left, green box. 5 plus 7 is 12, plus 3 is 15, plus 6 is 21, plus 7 is 28. We stay at 28 because of 0. Now, I lined the numbers up in numerical order. 27, 28, and 29. Check the next page because I'm going to blow your mind. 2 plus 7 equal 9. 2 plus 8 equal 10. 2 plus 9 equal 11. 9, 11. Yellow numbers, folks. 9, 1, 1. The Statue of Liberty location is standing on 9, 1, 1. She is 2,000 yards away from once where the World Trade Center's towers once stood. God got this land called the United States of America on check. He put a hit on the money. He shook the ground of our seat of government with a 5.8 on a Richter. And he put a hit on that witch. She better check that weave. She better check that weave. What you gonna do, folks? Better make Jesus Christ your Lord. Jesus Christ is Lord. Jesus Christ is Lord. It ain't that witch. It ain't that witch. Better check that weave. I'm fixing to pull that wig off. Better scratch that bald head and tug on them dreads. Jesus Christ is Lord.